In one of my previous math videos, I said I would do a separate video just on this math tool. So here it is. So what you see in front of you is called a Rekenrek, or we refer to it in our classroom as a number rack. And it's a really great visual and effective tool for kids to help improve their number sense. So what is number sense? Number sense is understanding numbers, and obviously that means a whole whack of things. So that can mean understanding more or less than, counting on from a certain number, addition and subtraction, counting backwards, understanding the relationship between, numbers to 5 and 10. So number sense is everything about numbers. And obviously we want to be improving upon that. And this tool is really good for that. So we have a couple of these in our classroom, and you can download it for your iPad or your tablet. You can also just type it into Google and you can find them online, or you can make your own. But before you get into any of that, I want to talk about it and why I think it's such a great tool. So it's kind of like an abacus, but a lot better. So each rod has 10 beads on it. 5 are red and 5 are white, okay? For a very specific reason. Now I mentioned this in one of my previous posts. Everyone is able to, or sorry, not able, everyone is capable of recognizing quantities up to 5 without counting, which is called subitizing. It's really important that kids know how to subitize. So for example, if you roll a dice or a die, can you see what number it is without counting, or do you have to count that there's 3? If I go like this, do you have to count that there's 4, or do you just know by looking at it? Okay, so everyone, kids, adults, everyone is capable of doing it up to 5. Obviously, if I throw 20 toothpicks on the ground, it's not that easy. But if I throw 5, you should be able to recognize that there's 5 there without counting. Anyway, so that's why 5 of them are red and 5 of them are white. So, for example, if I did this, you would know that there's 5 and that there's 1 more. So that's why there's 5 red and 5 white. And when you start adding rows, oops, I didn't clear it from last time. Excuse me. When you get into the 6th row, it goes back to white because we are able to subitize that there's 5 rows of 10 there. So I'm going to bring it back down to 1 row, okay? And I'm going to give you some examples of things that we do in the classroom that you can do at home too if you want to work on your child's number sense. So the most basic thing I would do is say, show me blank. And I would ask students to show me a quantity. So for example, show me 8, okay? Now, obviously there's a lot of different ways to get the answer, and just really quickly I'm going to explain to you the continuum that your child can fall on. So for example, if I say, show me 8, the more basic understanding would be, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that's a very basic understanding. It's right, but it's of course not the easiest way to do it. Someone with a bit of a better understanding would say 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, or they could do 5, 6, 7, 8. Right? The most advanced would be 8, because that child understands that 8 is 2 less than 10. Okay? So that's something you could ask your child tomorrow if you wanted, and start there and work on, getting them to the next level. If they're already at this one, start adding on more rows and get them adding. There's so many things you could do. So that's one thing I do. I just say, show me a number, right? So here's something else. And this is really neat because this website actually has this. It's like a little question mark. So you can add another row, right? And you can ask your child to look away. And you can have, oops, sorry. Oh no, there we go. Ask them to look away. You know, put your hand over top of it or put this little question mark over it, whatever you have. Get them to look and then get them to tell you what quantity they see. So obviously someone with a more sophisticated understanding of numbers and how to use this tool would say, okay, well, I see that there's 10 there. I don't need to count that there's 10. I know that there's 10. Then I see 5. I can subitize that there's 5 there and then there's one more than 5. 16, right? So they know how many is there, but the question is, how many is over here? So let me do that with one row because that's a little bit more advanced. So if you read the previous post I just posted about, we did a math problem today where how many cupcakes were chocolate and how many cupcakes were vanilla if we had to have 10 altogether, right? We're exploring different ways to make 10. So you get your child to look away, go like this, hide that, right? And say, how many are behind the question mark, right? So they should be able to see that there's 5 and 3 more. So how many does that make, right? And then they have to figure out in relation to 10, how many are behind the question mark. So like super easy stuff, you know, you don't need to come up with any crazy questions or worksheets. You know, you don't have to go buy those fancy packages of math problems. Like this is something you could make for 50 cents or you could download for free on your iPad and just talk about numbers and just talk about you know, different ways to make numbers. You can also do addition and subtraction on this. So I hope this kind of gave you some insight into how we are using this tool in the classroom, and I really hope that some of you do explore this tool at home because I am 1000% sure that it is going to help your child improve upon their number sense.